okay? Because rubrics and assignments and grading are all like one kind of big thing that work together. So I'm going to take you through the entire experience. First, we're going to discuss why one would use Canvas rubrics. If you're here, you probably understand the value of a rubric, though. The second thing we're going to do is probably the most important thing is how to create an assignment with a simple rubric attached to it. And then we're going to take a short little break somewhat from being teachers and become students. We're going to view the assignment in student view and submit an assignment as a test student. Now, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, but I do think it's really valuable for instructors to see what students see and also take a moment to reflect, how they would view if they saw a rubric in their assignment or in their submission window. Then finally, for the assignments, we're going to use the rubric to grade the assignment in SpeedGrader. Now, as I ran through this, I figured out I had a little bit more time. So I've added managing and editing rubrics because I think that could be valuable, and also how to add rubrics to discussion boards, because that's just a little bit different than adding rubrics to an assignment. So if you get to the through 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's all you're really signed up for, it's not going to hurt my feelings if you're ready to move on from the day. But I'd love for you to stay. All right, so why use Canvas rubrics? Again, if you're here, you probably understand that they provide students with clear expectations for assignments. Number 2, of course, they are quick, objective, and efficient for grading. If you use rubrics, it will speed your grading up, especially in Canvas. And number 3 is actually my favorite. Students will see the attached rubric to the assignment before they submit. So they'll see it when they open the assignment before they start, and it'll literally be the last thing they see before they get into their submission. And finally, rubrics provide students with detailed feedback about their grades, so that way they can continue to learn even after they've submitted their assignments and been graded. All right, so let's get to the nitty-gritty. How to create a rubric in Canvas. I'm going to go ahead and move on over to my sandbox course. And one thing I wanted to mention to you, we are going to be going back and forth. So I think I got my sandbox up. We are going to be going back and forth today. So if you have Zoom in full view, be sure to go ahead and hit escape so that way you can move back and forth fairly easily. Okay, I believe I have it up. Please tell me if I don't have my sandbox up, but I think I do. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone ahead and set up a rubric practice module. You can work with any assignment you have or want to work with, and you may want to even go ahead and create an assignment, but we will give you plenty of time to do that later. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this rubric assignment. Okay, and I've already created it. This assignment tells the student to tell me your favorite song and identify the artist. Explain why this song is so important to you as a person. Okay, now when instructors ask me a lot when they say, I can't find the rubric, I can't find the rubric, usually it's because they're in edit mode, because it seems like you would attach it in edit mode, but instead it's right here on the assignment. So you see here at the bottom where it says rubric, we're going to click the plus sign, and that's going to open up our rubric for us. Now I'm going to go ahead and go line by line with this. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is add a title. So I'm going to go ahead and call this the music assignment rubric. Okay. Oh, and the other thing over here I forgot to mention is if you have rubrics saved, and we'll get to that in managing, you could just go ahead and go find a rubric and put it in here. Now that gets a little, I would call sticky, so I'll talk about that later. All right, so here you have criteria, and that's going to be what the student's graded on. You have ratings, that's going to be the point values of how you grade it, and then the total points for this criteria. And the way you're going to edit that is we're going to start with criteria. I'm going to press the little pencil right here. Okay. And it's going to ask me for my criteria. So I'm in this first criteria, I'm going to say names, song, and artist. Now I have a long description here if I wanted to put in more information, but I think that's pretty clear. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. And remember, I'm just faking my way through this. Don't judge me on pedagogy. All right, so I have a criteria. Student is going to name a song and an artist. In my ratings, I have the option of full marks, which would be 5 points now, or 0 points, which would be no marks. And that's 5 points. Now, for my assignment, I think this is worth 20% of the assignment. So under points, I'm going to add 20. And notice when I add the 20 into points, it automatically makes full marks my 20 as well. Okay, so we have a 0 to 20 scale within this criteria. Okay, so if I want to edit this, I would just click the pencil again. All right, my full marks is 20. Now I like to say full credit rather than marks because that's just not a word that I tend to use. All right. And then I have a description so I can tell the student what they're supposed to do. This is pretty clear, but we're going to do it anyway. Student rather, names, song, and artist. Then I'm going to update. All right, so my first thing is for full credit, you've got to name your song and your artist. Okay, I can also update the 0, and I know this is pretty obvious. If I click there, I'm going to change this to no credit. And I'm going to say student doesn't. Just leave it there. So I've done my first criteria, and that's worth 20 points of this assignment. All right, we're going to go down to the next line. I can add another criteria. All right, so right here, I'm just going to click here, and it's going to ask me, do I want to duplicate the one before it, or do I want to do a new one? I want to do a new one. All right, and I'm going to call this taste in music. All right, and that would be a pretty bad criteria to lay on a student. All right, so in my long description under taste in music, I'm going to say student identifies personal reason for liking the song. Okay, so now that is worth 5 points. Now I'm going to make this part worth 80 points just to make this worth 100 because we're going to have 2 criterion. So I'm going to put 80 in. So full credit here is 80. 0 points is obviously 0. That's a big swing there. So one thing I want to do is go ahead and add something kind of in between. So I'm going to click this blue button in the middle to add a new rating. All right, so I have full marks, no marks. I hit the button, and I'm going to call this partial credit. And partial credit is probably going to be a little bit more than 40. So I'm going to just change that to 50 points because it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Or I should not say perfect, but it doesn't have to be exactly even. All right, so now I have 80 points being, what I'm expecting is going to be somewhere there. My partial credit is going to be 50 points, and of course, 0 points if they don't do it. Now, up here, remember I made this a 1, you either do it or you don't. That's a harsh reality. That's a harsh thing to do to students if you're going for 80 points. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to come over here and click range, and this is going to change it to a range of how well the student does. So now you're going to see in this area it says 80 to 50 points, 50 to 80. And here it's 50 to 0 for partial. And again, I am going to go back and edit these. So click the pencil. I'm going to say, instead of full marks, I'm going to say, great. and my rating description would just be describes personal feelings. Again, that's absolutely terrible to do to a student, but all right. My partial credit would be description lacks personal feelings or accuracy, but they put the description in. And then here for 0, we're just going to leave that as no marks because they just didn't do it. I would obviously put something in there. So we have a range where we get a little range to grade between 50 and 80 here. We have a partial credit where the person tried but didn't quite get there. And then we have 0 where they just didn't do it. All right. Now we have some options. Now we've already put points in here, so if we were going to use some of these options, we wouldn't have bothered to do this. One option, I'm just going to go ahead and show them to you. If I were going to write free-form comments, I would click this, and the points here would be gone in the ratings. And when we go to grade, what we do is we put our comments here and still put points in over here. But we're not doing that today. We could remove all the points if we were just doing a simple rubric where we're just laying out expectations. We're definitely not doing that today. That takes all the fun out of it. We're not going to post outcomes to the Learning Mastery Gradebook because that's for another day. Also, use this rubric for assignment grading. That's pretty cool. The thing I like about that is that after you put your points into your rubric, and I'll show you this later in SpeedGrader, after you put your points into your rubric and save it, it's submitted. That's it. If you're the type of person who, if the rubric comes up to a 79 for the student and you're not even going to look back and think about it, and I totally respect that, that's the way to do it. The final thing is you could hide the score total for assessment results. I'm sure there's a reason why somebody wants to do that. I'm not sure why I would do all this scoring and not tell the student about it, but I trust you if you want to. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create my rubric. And there it is. All right, so I have some screenshots for you. And just to remind you, first thing you're going to do after you make your assignment is click the rubric plus button. All right, over here you're going to title your rubric and put in ratings and edit your points. Then after you do that, you're going to add a second criterion. Try to give me at least 2. All right, and for now, let's not select any of these unless you're just feeling, well, definitely don't select any of these. But if you really want to see what the rubric assignment for grading is, I won't blame you because I won't know. And then finally, go ahead and create your rubric. Again, while you're doing your criteria, notice that you're going to click the pencil to edit. If you make a mistake, go ahead and click the little trash can. And again, in your ratings, you're going to click the pencil to edit.
Hey, Ed.
Yes.
Which screen are you showing? Because right now you're just showing your sandbox right now.
Oh, dear, I'm sorry. Huh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share from there then.
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. Okay. But anyway, I've already gone through it. If you need me to go back and show those slides, I will. And just remember at the end, create your rubric. So once again, if you're ready to go, if you need me to go back and do those slides, I will. But what I want you to do is go ahead and create a simple assignment if you haven't already. And then use the rubric tool to create a simple rubric. And then once you have that simple rubric, for those of you who are really go-getters, go ahead and add some more criterion and mess around with it. I'm going to go ahead and give you 7 minutes. That's a little bit longer than we usually do for an assignment or an activity, but it's really important that everybody gets this part down. So I'll give you a warning here in a couple minutes.
Ready, set, go, everyone. If y'all two can go to the kitchen table, then that'd probably be better since y'all can be with Ethan, at least for a second. He could take you. Hey Ed, can you go back a couple slides where you have the assignment screen and the sorry everyone, my youngest is in it's the last slide, not the last slide, but slide with so if you go back and share your screen and then yep, right there. Good.
Okay, let's give it about one more minute. Okay, hopefully you've gotten at least 2 criterion into your rubric and you've updated it or created it. And what we're going to do now is, this is something I usually like to do anyway. I like to look at things in student view. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and submit an assignment in student view. I'm going to go back now to my, there we go. I'm going to go back to my Sandbox, that's where it should be. I'm going to go home. A lot of you probably have like home pages. I'm keeping it simple today. I just have my assignment and my home page. And I'm going to go to student view. All right, as a student, I see my rubric assignment here. So I'm going to click on it. All right, and I see my prompt, and I can come down here and I can look and I can say name song and an artist. I can do that. Taste of music, what does that mean? All right, and then I can look at this and realize, oh, I'm supposed to describe my feelings and stuff like that. So as a student, I'm going to come in and I'm going to submit. All right, in my assignment, I'm going to say my favorite song is Disco Duck. Rolling Stone ranked it number 3 all time. All right, so as a student, I've done this. And like I said earlier, the thing I love about having the rubric attached to your assignment is the last thing the student's going to do is see, oh yeah, the rubric. Maybe I should come down here and look at it. Student named song and artist. Oh, I didn't name the artist. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to name, I think that's Rick Dees. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and submit my assignment as a student. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let me get back to my slide here. And go ahead and do activity number 2. I want you to go into student view and then open the assignment that you created in the first activity. And now I know that whatever you created is probably nowhere near what you would actually create for a regular class, but just imagine what that grading criteria would look like and would it make sense to students. And then while you're there, go ahead and submit a nice easy answer using the text box. If you gave yourself a text box, I hope you did. If not, just submit anything. And we're going to wait about 3 minutes for you to do that. It shouldn't take long at all. Okay, just about 1 more minute. Okay, hopefully everybody was able to submit something. If not, that's going to be okay because when we actually get to SpeedGrader, You'll see the test student and there just won't be anything there. You can still grade the test student. So what I want everybody to do now, if you don't, so you don't forget, is leave student view. At the bottom of your page, you'll see this pinkish purple bar, and in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see leave student view. Be sure to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be kind of confused. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the third thing that we were going to cover, and that is editing, or not editing, grading in SpeedGrader. And this is the really cool part of this. I mean, this is where building a rubric and using it really pays off for you, both in speed and your student performance. So what I'm going to do is I'm in the assignment. All right, everybody get back to your rubric assignment, whichever one you made. And I'm going to click SpeedGrader over here on the right. All right, and now that I'm in SpeedGrader, I see my test student. That's who we were earlier.
Hey, Ed,
Yes.
I'm going to have to refresh your screen again.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry about that, everybody.
We have a winner.
Okay. Is everybody in SpeedGrader, or I need to go back and do that again?
Go ahead and go back and do it again, please.
Okay. All right. If you're in your assignment, you want to get to your rubric assignment, however you made it. And once you're there, all the way over to the right, you're going to see SpeedGrader. Okay. So you should be in your assignment. You should be in instructor view, not in student view. And then click SpeedGrader. Okay. And as you see, hopefully you see the test student. And this is what we submitted as a test student. It's my favorite song is Disco Duck by Rick Dees. Rolling Stone ranked it #3 of all time. Now, I'm going to take a look at my rubric. And you can tell I practiced this earlier, so I left a grade. That's the only reason why that's there. What I do is I'm going to click View Rubric. Okay. Now, your rubric's going to look like it's way off the edge of the page, because it is. You need to grab this little handle right here on this line and just pull it on over. Give yourself plenty of room. Okay, so a couple of things to look at here. It's not showing me my longer description here because I'm the instructor. I should know what that is, but it's there just in case I need to look back at it. But with my criteria, the one that says name, song, and artist, and I have 20 points for full credit, 0 points for no credit. The test student did both, so I'm just going to click. Bam, 20 points. So that was pretty good. Nice and easy. And then down here in taste in music, I know my longer description. I know what I'm looking for. And I look at this and say, this isn't really personal, so it doesn't fit there. And I looked it up. Rolling Stone did not rank Disco Duck as the #3 song of all time. But it's still, he did something. So I'm going to select this. And it's going to give me a 50 when I do that. But I can go back then and say, this is 50 to 0 points, and he did 2 things wrong. So I'm going to give this a 37. Okay. And then once I do that, I'm going to just save. So I've saved, and I see my total points down here is 57. And now what I said earlier, if you choose use the rubric to to grade, then we'd be done. 57 would be right here, and we'd be ready to move on to the next student. But in this case, since I didn't do that, I do have to go ahead and input. All right. And submit. And don't forget, you should always add comments too. If you don't have comments up here, I would probably add a comment here that to mention that what I said, that he didn't really complete the assignment very well. Okay, is everybody with me? Okay, so I'm going to go back over that again with screenshots. When you get to Speed Grader, you're going to view your rubric to see your rubric. All right, you're going to enter points for each criteria. You could click on these items if you wanted to. And then when you're done, you click Save. All right, and then enter your grade and submit at the bottom. So we're going to give you 5 minutes for this. All right, so what I want you to do is make sure you're in instructor view, not in student view. Go to your assignment and open it in SpeedGrader. Use your rubric to score the test student's assignment that you might have submitted. If somehow you didn't get your assignment submitted, it should just be empty. You can just grade an empty assignment. As I said, you should leave feedback, and be sure to click Submit to submit the grade. And we'll go ahead and give you 5 minutes for that. All right, we're going to give this about 1 more minute. Okay, We're going to move on into managing rubrics now. Now, what I want to make sure you do, be sure to leave SpeedGrader. You can do that by just closing it. Your rubric is, your sandbox or whatever course you're using should still be here. And one of the things about managing rubrics, one reason why I put this in here is because it's hard to find. Frankly, if you don't know where to look for it, you're going to have to hunt and peck. So where it's actually at, and this actually makes sense. So I'm not blaming Canvas on this or anything. It's just the first time through, it's like, where are my rubrics? Why aren't they anywhere? Where you have to do is you have to go to Outcomes. So I'm going to click Outcomes. And then you see this big page that tells you all about doing outcomes. And we're not messing around with outcomes right now. I mean, I think they're great, but just not messing around with it. You have to go all the way over to the right and up top to manage rubrics, okay? So in the manage rubrics section, you just click that and you'll see my rubrics, all right? This is the one we just made, the music assignment rubric, all right? And then I have another rubric here that I'm calling music discussion. If I want to manage one of these, I would just click on it, okay? So my music discussion, all I did was say student discusses. I can click edit here. If I wanted to change this, I can just do any kind of edit. I'll just say discusses music and update it. And that's how I would edit that. All right. And then, I'm sorry, I've edited it. Now I have to update it. All right. So I've edited this rubric. Now I am going to go back up here to the top and just go back to the rubric section. If I wanted to create a rubric in this section, I could create one by clicking add rubric here. And there are good reasons to do that. We're not going to get into the details of why you would rather do one way or the other. The course description for this was how to attach one assignment to one rubric. If we have time, I might get back to that, but I don't think we're going to have time. All right, so I've managed my rubrics now. I've edited it. I know where they're at. If I wanted to get rid of one, I could click it and I could delete it. So that's the simple management there. And I'm going to go back to my slides here in just a minute, but I want to make sure that I get to how to do a discussion board, because that is different. And we're going to do two things with this discussion board. All right, so I'm back to what would be my modules page, but I just have it on my home page to keep it simple. And I've already created a discussion. So I'm going to go to that discussion. And now, really important, you have to make it a graded discussion first before you add a rubric. I know that sounds really simple, but if you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm gonna make a discussion and let me put my rubric in, you're not gonna be able to. So I've already created a graded discussion. And instead of, you notice the add rubric is not down here where it would normally be. All right, it's because discussion boards are a little bit different. I'm gonna go over to my kebab right beside my edit button. The kebab is the three little buttons, or three little dots. I'm gonna click that, and notice I have the option to add a rubric. And do you remember when I told you earlier you could go find a rubric? I'm going to click add rubric, and this should all look very familiar to you. So I could create my rubric right here, the exact same way that that I did it before in my assignment. All I did was go to the kebab. And this time I'm going to go find that rubric. I'm going to use one I've already created. All right, so I'm going to click there, and to find a rubric, you have to go to the course that you have it associated with. So I'm going to go to my sandbox. Notice I have my music discussion. All right, this is the one we did earlier. I'm going to choose music discussion, and I'm going to use this rubric. All right, and if I wanted to edit from here, I could still edit. Okay, but I'm going to look at it. I'm going to do what the thing I said earlier. I'm going to use this rubric for assignment grading. That'll be my edit, and I'm going to update. All right, now here's one of the big differences. What do you do from here? This rubric is now associated with the rubric discussion, but students aren't going to see it. I assume it's just because it would kind of be in the way of a discussion board. But faculty or instructors or students, if they want to see it, all they have to do is go back to the kebab. All right. If you're an instructor, it's going to say add rubric. And notice I can see my rubric and edit it if I want. And that will also work the exact same way when you get to SpeedGrader. If I go here and I go to SpeedGrader, I'll go ahead and do it just so everybody sees it. See, I have my view rubric. I can click there, and in this case, the student doesn't have a submission. If I click here and save it, remember what I told you earlier, it automatically updates it. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and review that for you. Okay, we've gone through managing rubrics. Remember, to manage your rubrics, the first thing you do is click your outcomes. Okay, then when you get to outcomes, all the way on the right, way up in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to click Manage Rubrics. And then you'll choose the rubric that you want to manage. You'll choose to edit the rubric, or if you want to delete it, you could. And when you finish editing, you just click Update. And again, I'm just going back. I'm going to review adding rubrics to discussion boards. After you create your discussion, you are going to have to remember, I didn't put this in here, but you're going to have to make sure it's a graded discussion and then click the kebab right beside the edit button. Okay, and then you're going to add the rubric from the drop-down menu. Okay, so that's everything I was hoping to cover. I've just got a couple more points to mention. I've already mentioned that rubrics are attached to the assignment. You're not going to find them in edit mode. It's just a question I get a lot. A couple of things about saving rubrics and using them in for other assignments. You can reuse a rubric, but what will happen is Canvas will automatically make a copy if you edit it in a different assignment. And if you can keep track of that, that's good for you. For me, I'm one of these people, I like one rubric for one assignment. And then I'm going to give you the big time warning. If you create an assignment and create a rubric to it with it, and you decide you just don't want it with that assignment and you delete it, it's gone. I mean, technically, I guess nothing's ever completely deleted from Canvas, but it is not going to be in the manage rubric section. It's just going to be gone. Okay, so I hope this was helpful for you. It was a long day for me, so I'm sorry about a couple of those screen shares. Please let us know how we did. Your feedback is important to us. I hope, can somebody go ahead and put this link in the chat? Looks like it's there, that's good. And again, I want to thank you very much. Be sure to visit our page, the edtechvccs.edu page. You'll find this recording and many, many more along with slides and all the information you need to operate in the online environment in the VCCS. Thanks everybody for coming.